folks? Patrick here. Welcome back to another episode of J&K Railroad. Hey guys, I know it's been about 2 weeks since my last video. I've been exceptionally busy. I actually just got home from work not too long ago. I haven't even showered. So I apologize if I look a little beat and a little tired. Or even if I look a little dirty. I was sanding some boats all day. But I actually had some projects that I wanted to get out of my head and kind of in front of YouTube so I could follow through with them. So while I haven't gotten anything done on the layout because I haven't had time, I've been planning a few things. One of them is I'm going to call it a rechargeable lit building on my layout that I want to do more for an experiment than a permanent fixture. And the other is I'm going to attempt to light some signs on my layout, starting with my movie theater with some fiber optic strands. So I'm going to flip the camera around and kind of show you a few things I got going on. See you in a second. So this is one of the buildings off my layout. It's going to become just a prototype experiment. I'm going to humor the electronics nerd in myself. And I'm going to attempt to make essentially a rechargeably lit building. This is a little solar panel that I got off of eBay. I want to show you how easy it is to get light, or basically to get power out of it. So I've got my multimeter, which you can see right there. Got my leads. Gonna borrow these for a second. Click one. Woo. We're just gonna clip it right to the panel. So I got one on the positive, one on the negative. Positive goes to the positive. Negative goes to the negative. And I've got my multimeter. So right there, not even with sunlight, but just, let me bring it in a little closer, with the lamp, light from my desk lamp, we're getting about 4.5 volts. If I get a little closer, voltage goes up, obviously. Needless to say, with a couple rechargeable batteries in here, anytime the lights are on, simulating daylight, I have the ability to recharge the building. And once the light would go out, it would come back on. Now this specific solar panel is actually meant for another project, fix my light, which is why it's got some wires on it. But the ultimate goal was to get one or two laying right down on the building, where for the most part you wouldn't even notice it, and if it does, your building has solar power. And that's all you got to say to kind of justify having a solar panel on it. A couple small holes, wires would go inside. And even though this has got a base on it, I can hide the entire battery pack inside. What I intend on using is some 18650 lithium ion batteries. I had a couple around here, but I can't figure out where my spare ones were. So I will show you lithium ion batteries out of another project. This is a project I made for something else. These are simply lithium-ion batteries. Same kind of batteries you find in a Tesla, just a different manufacturer. Got a lot of power from about 3.7 volts with a little USB booster, or I should say a booster board of some kind. I can easily make it go to the 5 volts or whatever voltage I needed by a combination of batteries. So needless to say, hide those inside the building. Tiny little bit of wiring and a small optical sensor would basically, once you turn the lights out, your building lights come on. When you turn your lights on, it sits there and charges the batteries. So that's project 1. I'm waiting on a new shipment of 18650 batteries. These ones will actually have come out of an old Tesla. They replace the battery packs on those at a certain mileage, I forget. But when those batteries show up, we will get a video on modifying this building and the associated wiring, hooking up the solar power. So this is a second part of the video of my how-to projects. I don't have the building up in front of me. It is down on the layout. But I have one of the old Tyco Lewis movie theaters. I want to light it up like it's got some marquee lights on it. And while this filament is actually a little big, it'll do a pretty good job of mimicking like neon tubing. And it's pretty flexible. I can't go too tight, but I can get a pretty tight radius in there, enough to do what I want to do with it. So what we're going to do here is a small proof of concept. I want to light up this strand, turn out the lights, and watch it light up. To do that, I need power. So we're going to use my little rail power supply that I use from my test track. It's going to be the voltage. I've got a green 3mm LED. I got a 1.2k ohm resistor, 2 strands of wire, and a small piece of shrink tubing. Wire goes really simply. We got our little piece of hot glue from another project I had to get out of the way. I have my, let me put it back so the camera can see it, my little green LED. The tall lead is your positive, the short lead is your negative. So basically, it's going to go resistor, wire, wire, and shrink tube and lead. So let's get going. I'm going to bring out my handy helper so I can hold my LED light and do some soldering. Where did I put my solder? It's right in front of my face. Sometimes you ask a question when you already know the answer. So, spread my lead a little. Tin my soldering iron. I need to clean my soldering iron. Get a little solder. Ooh, too much solder. Steal a little of that for the wire. Now this is only a proof of concept, so the actual design of it will most likely be a little different, and it'll definitely be much more formalized. This is just a jury rig proof of concept. So we're going to get resistor. Shorten this down a little. Get a touch more solder on there. Make sure you guys can still see what I'm doing. After a long day, my hands aren't very steady today. So it actually took a little bit of effort to get that to stay. Put my little piece of wire on here. Nope, stay. Just to hold it. Going to tin the end of the wire to make it a little easier. Should have trimmed both ends. Yeah, I didn't think so. It looked like it was attached, but it was not. Much better. So that's the electrical end of it. I'm gonna keep those isolated. But we want our filament to touch the LED. See if I can square the end of this off a little better. Need a file. As the end of a filament should be polished. Obviously, I don't have the tools to polish fiber optics. I've done it before, trust me, it's a pain in the butt. So I really just want it enough to let the light through. See if you can see that. No light. Light. So let's get this. Gonna need a bigger piece of shrink wrap or shrink tubing. Gonna go bigger than I wanted to. So we're gonna do this twofold. Might be able to make this work. Let's see. So I've got a smaller piece of shrink tube and the bigger piece of shrink tube, which kind of gonna go like that. First things first. Gonna shrink. See if you can see that. This down using my soldering iron. Woo! I'm melting the fiber too. One of the things I was worried about. Fiber optics, especially the cheap ones from China, are not the best. So let's see if I can not melt it again. So I'm pushing down. Whoop. Just lost my piece of shrink tubing. We'll use this one. And that wire does not want to stay on. First things first, I gotta fix my red wire. It does not want to stay on. I didn't get enough solder on it. what happens when you're trying to talk and solder at the same time. No, that's enough solder. Back to holding that. Press down enough. Make sure I am touching the light. Big thing is we want the green to show through the fiber, not the ambient air. Figure out how I have my power pack set up and set up a voltage that's not going to blow up my LED. Gonna set it at about 5 volts. I know you guys aren't watching the multimeter go, but I didn't feel like bringing it back into the screen just to show you. So in theory, nothing. It's gonna get dark for a second. Nothing. Can't even see if my LED is lit in there. Cut away a little bit of my shrink tubing. To see if my LED actually lights. I might be recording this long video to show a project failure. Won't be the first time. Sure it won't be the last. There we go, my LED is on. Just not getting the right contact to the fiber. Might need to get some different LEDs, because in theory, even though the fiber travels to the end, it should still ambiently, not ambient, that's not even the right word, but it should still get enough light through that fiber. So this part of the experiment is a bust. We're going to have to reevaluate it, and we'll see it again in another video. So that's pretty much everything I got this week. Hopefully I get some time to go down to the layout soon, because I've got some ballasting I want to try out. I've got some small scenery stuff I want to try out, and I have a couple more buildings that I want to try out. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you soon.